In 1921, workers digging near an old house in the Essex village of St Osyth made a discovery that chilled them to the bone. 2 skeletons, buried deliberately, their joints pinned with iron rivets, hammered into knees and elbows, a method once used to stop witches from rising from the grave. For a century, local tradition had whispered the names Ursula Kemp, Elizabeth Bennet, 2 women executed in 1582. But who were they? Why were they feared? And what web of grudges, grief, betrayal, and one child's testimony led to their deaths? I'm historian and author Claire Ridgway, and this is the true story of the St Osyth witch trials. St Osyth, Essex, a quiet coastal parish of timber-framed cottages and marshland paths. Pretty ordinary. But in the late 16th century, this village lived under a cloud of whispers. In 1579, Queen Elizabeth I herself had passed through, staying at St Osyth's Priory. She'd publicly rebuked the local justices for not taking witchcraft seriously enough. Whether those words echoed through the village or not, the fear certainly did. In 1582, 14 local women would be accused. 2 would die. And the spark that ignited everything began as quietly as a neighbourly dispute. Ursula Kemp was poor, a nursemaid, a midwife, a woman people came to when they needed curses lifted or ailments soothed. She was good. Too good, some said, at undoing spells. And in Tudor England, anyone who could remove a curse was suspected of being able to cast one. Her trouble began with a woman named Grace Thurlow. Grace's infant son Davy had been sick. Ursula treated him. He recovered. So Ursula expected, hoped to be hired as nursemaid to Grace's newborn daughter. Grace refused. Their relationship soured, and when the baby girl later fell from her cradle and died, grief needed a shape, and Grace gave it one. She said that Ursula had killed the child, not with hands, but with witchcraft. It was an accusation that would swallow the whole village. Ursula Kemp was reported to the authorities and imprisoned in the Cage, a cramped, foul lockup in St Osyth, while awaiting trial. Locals say that it's haunted. They said it long before any ghost tour did. Ursula's case was overseen by Brian Darcy, a wealthy landowner with an appetite for witch hunting. He had a personal interest, the kind that grows out of ambition, royal pressure, and the promise of fame through a sensational pamphlet. And when a magistrate wants a story more than the truth, justice doesn't stand a chance. Darcy needed evidence, desperately, and he knew exactly where to find it. Ursula's son, 8-year-old Thomas Rabbit. Children were easily swayed in witch trials. Darcy persuaded the boy to testify against his own mother. Thomas said she kept familiars, 2 cats, Titty and Jack, a toad, Piggin, and a lamb, Tiffin. He said the lamb killed Grace Thurlow's baby. It was exactly the kind of story that magistrates wanted to hear. But Darcy wasn't finished. He went to Ursula next, told her that if she confessed, she would be spared, and she believed him. Her confession sealed her fate and dragged others down with her. Once Ursula confessed, the rules changed. She was forced to name other witches. She named 4: Elizabeth Bennet, Alice Hunt, Alice Newman, and Marjorie Salmon. Those women named more, 9 others, names multiplied like sparks catching dry straw. Cicely Sellis, Agnes Glasscock, Joan Peachy, Anne Swallow, and more. Some broke, some refused to confess, some were acquitted, a few were reprieved. But 2 women, 2 names never escaped the noose. Ursula Kemp, Elizabeth Bennet. At the Chelmsford Assizes, Ursula was found guilty of murder by witchcraft. Elizabeth Bennet was condemned for causing 4 deaths and keeping familiars of her own. Both women were hanged. No last-minute reprieve, no mercy. Just 2 more bodies added to the long tally of Essex witchcraft victims. But their story didn't end with the rope. More than 300 years later, in 1921, St Osyth villagers made a chilling discovery during building work near the old cage. 2 skeletons, female, buried without ceremony, iron rivets hammered into their elbows and knees. A superstitious method meant to stop a witch from rising from the grave to seek revenge. Locals believed the bodies were those of Ursula Kemp and Elizabeth Bennet. There were no grave markers, no parish record, just the echoes of fear. To this day, the St Osyth Museum still tells the tale. The skeletons became part of village legend, their identities never confirmed but always suspected. Were the accusations genuine belief, a grieving mother's rage, a magistrate's ambition, a frightened child saying what adults wanted him to say? Was Ursula Kemp simply a healer, and Elizabeth Bennet a neighbour who got caught in the fallout? We will never know exactly what happened behind closed doors, whispered in kitchens, or brewed in the minds of frightened villagers. But we do know one thing. 2 women died in 1582 because fear became truth. And in 1921, their story rose again from the ground, this time with iron nails to silence them forever. Thank you for joining me for this true crime journey into Tudor witchcraft. If you'd like more stories like this of deception, fear, superstition and survival, then don't forget to like, subscribe and ring the bell. Because Tudor history isn't just battles and kings, it's dark corners too. And I'll give you links to my videos on some of the other Essex witches and on witch hunter Brian Darcy. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.